Hi, my name is Cameron Keefe, and I am here with the EdVenture Group to welcome you back to the Simulated Workplace Leadership Series for teachers. Today, we will be covering Module 3, Leading for Community Impact. By the completion of the module, educators will be able to support students in the development of their leadership legacy projects, identify the 3 steps of Intuit's Design for Delight process, and understand how design thinking can be used to create projects and solve problems in a classroom. First, we will be discussing the Leadership Legacy Project. Your students will soon be developing an independent project that solves a problem they care about that also affects their community. They will then collaborate with their team to design a project based off their independent ideas that will leave a positive impact and legacy on others. To do this, they will be using innovation, design thinking, Intuit's Design for Delight model, and gaining tons of leadership skills. A great example of a leadership legacy project we want to share with you is the program Mingo Central High School put together last year. Check this out.
Mingo Central High School CTE program prides themselves on leadership and service for their community. In our interviewing process, we discovered a problem with massive amounts of stray animals roaming the streets, homeless. Our solution to this problem involves getting our CTE program to come together to construct a warming and feeding station for the animals. In order to do so, our programs will participate in the following. Construction will build our station, welding will also help in that process, HVAC will provide proper insulation, ProSmart will make homemade dog treats, graphic design will create flyers to promote our station and bring awareness, engineering will make blueprints for how our station should be properly designed, law and public safety will establish highly needed areas where our shelters should be placed. We have the support of our local communities, including the historic town of Maitland, whose mayor, Matt Moore, fully recognizes that this is a major need for our community.
I'm pleased to introduce the mayor of my hometown, Matt Moore.
As the mayor, I'm excited to see where these students in this project go. As a town, we recognize that this is a problem, and that is why I and the council are in 100% support of this project and their leadership.
Your students will have the same opportunity to leave a legacy on their communities too. Now we will be introducing the thought process behind how to come up with a creative solution like Mingo Central CTE did. Allow me to introduce to you design thinking. Design thinking came about because traditional problem solving is not efficient. Traditional problem solving does not provide human-centric approach that can lead to wasted time, effort, and money. The main issue is that the customer, or the people experiencing the problem, aren't brought in at all, or they aren't brought in until the solution is already built. Because the customers aren't consulted or involved in the process, it leads to companies creating products and wasting money on marketing for items that people don't need and they don't want to buy. So this leads us to ask, what is a better way to solve problems instead of this traditional way? Design thinking is a human-centered approach to creative problem solving. At the core of this process, we are using empathy to connect with people experiencing the problems in order to solve it. Design thinking can solve complex problems with no apparent answers, but it requires us to dig deeper and investigate the situation fully so that we can understand and empathize. We want to focus on common problems that affect a lot of people, not just one person. You want to solve a problem that people care about and who will be impacted by the solution. By empathizing with those consumers experiencing the problem, you'll understand their feelings about it and how it greatly influences the solution, as there can be multiple answers and no necessarily correct solution, just one that fits the consumer better than the rest. At its core, design thinking revolves around a deep interest in developing an understanding for the people who are affected by these problems. And that's what we call falling in love with the problem, not the solution. Stemming from design thinking comes Design for Delight, a process developed by Intuit, the founders of software like QuickBooks. Design for Delight is a series of 3 principles that teach users how to innovate, create, and test new ideas and solve problems. These solutions are meant to adapt to meet the needs of customers. Design for Delight is a continuous cycle and a learning process to help you evolve your solution to best fit a customer's needs based off frequent communication and feedback. The Design for Delight process, or D for D for short, can help you to better understand the unmet needs of people for whom you are creating the solution, Determine the problems your customers encounter and build a solution to address those problems. Reduce the risks associated with launching new ideas, products, and services. Generate solutions that will go beyond solving the problems and become something that customers really love. And lastly, D for D helps users to learn and adapt to situations faster. Design thinking is used by the world's most admired companies like IDEO, Google, Nike, Apple, and Facebook. It constantly affects their strategies, updates, and new products. A great example of this is Apple, as each version of the iPhone is constantly upgraded with technology that didn't exist a few years ago, all to delight the customer. Further focusing on the customer, let me introduce D for D's 3 principles. They are as follows. Deep customer empathy, where we want to get to know the customer and understand the problem through empathy before we attempt to build a solution. Going broad to go narrow. Once we understand the problem, we want to brainstorm a lot of ideas and then pick out the best ideas to move into step 3, rapid experiments with our customers. In this final principle, we want to test our ideas with customers before spending a ton of money on production and marketing when we don't even know if it'll work well. This allows us to learn and adapt our solution to better solve our customers' problems. The first step is deep customer empathy. Empathy is the ability to emotionally understand what other people are feeling, see things from their point of view, and imagine yourself in their shoes, like walking a mile in someone else's shoes. We want to understand the problem further and how the problem affects them personally, physically, and emotionally. Collecting this information can help change your perspective on how to address the problem, as you need to fall in love with the problem, not the solution, so that you are continuously innovating. Deep customer empathy focuses on a shared understanding, insights, motivation, to help improve the lives of our customers. We gain empathy by observing people where and when they are experiencing their pains and problems. We want to get to know our customer, and we can do this in many ways, such as interviews and follow me homes. To do this, we need to be open and ask a ton of questions, ask for elaboration, and really see the emotions involved. You want to get the customer talking to better understand how they felt and take notes and details to record so that you don't forget. Let's look at a common problem through our teacher's perspective for these next 3 steps. In order to get to know your customer, you want to conduct an interview. This is where you identify their problem and then you can create a problem statement. After interviewing a teacher, you might see a problem statement filled out like, I am, which is your description of the customer. So I am a high school teacher. I am trying to, which is your desired outcome. So I am trying to engage my students during class. But this is the problem that you visibly see, which could be, but they are on their cell phones. Because, which is like your real root of the problem, not just what you see. So because the textbook and curriculum I must teach are outdated and boring, which makes me feel, which is your emotion, your reaction to it. So you feel frustrated and stuck. So together, the problem statement is, I am a high school teacher trying to engage my students during class, but they are always on their cell phones because the textbook and curriculum I must teach are outdated and boring, which makes me feel frustrated and stuck. This problem statement then leads into the second step in D4D process, which is go broad to go narrow. Going broad to go narrow focuses our energy on what is most important. We go broad by using our creativity to explore a variety of potential solutions. We go narrow by focusing on bold solutions that are most likely to delight our customers. We want to come up with as many ideas as possible before we narrow them down to the best ones. This is easier to do on a piece of paper or with sticky notes. These ideas can be wild, outside of the box, boring, or expensive, just to get your creativity flowing. No judgment here. Working with the group makes it easier to bounce ideas off each other and really build upon them to make improvements. You want to focus on the quantity first before finding the quality. And then we want to narrow the quality down to find the realistic solutions. When trying to ideate, the obvious ideas come first, and then a slump, and then the great ideas come after. When we're trying to go broad, we can think about all kinds of brainstorming prompts, and these can be pretty out there to get your creativity flowing. So when you've identified a problem, try asking questions like, what would you do to solve it if you had $1 million? What is the worst way that we could solve this problem? And how would a 5-year-old solve this problem? After we go broad, we go narrow, with strategies like a 2x2 matrix, where our criteria is, does it solve the problem? Is it creative or innovative? Back to our sample problem for the teachers trying to engage their students on their phones. Let's start to brainstorm. This is a fun activity in class to do by writing ideas on individual sticky notes. And then each sticky note will be placed on the 2x2 matrix that has the criteria, does it solve the problem on one axis, and is it creative or innovative on the other. Now, to brainstorm some ideas to solve our own problem, we could burn the textbooks. We could flip the classroom where the students learn content at home and they engage in activities during school time. Students could pitch the principal a new curriculum. We could rewrite outdated lessons using new and relevant examples, or encourage the students to use their phones to find the relevant examples. We could use a typical cell phone jail or maybe a sticker chart for engagement. We could teach in silly voices, or even have the students teach their own lesson. Or we could simply just do nothing and ignore the problem. In order to pick a solution, you can consult your team or others, use the 100-point system to individually assign points as a vote, or any other sort of pick and choose to decide. So if we choose the students pitching a new curriculum to the principal, we would then move this idea into step 3. The last step, step 3, is rapid experiments with customers. We want to test our products with customers to get a better idea of how it will help them. We don't want to be a company that creates a product and spends tons of money on production and marketing just for it to fail because we didn't understand what the customer actually wanted. Rapid experiments with customers test our solutions quickly. When we run these experiments with real customers, we will learn what works and what does not, saving valuable time with resources while we make our next decision. We want to experiment to make sure our idea is really impactful. To continue with our example, we would design a sample lesson or activity for the new curriculum model and then have students see if it resonates with them or if it engages them more than the previous lessons did. If this is successful, the students can then pitch to the principal to get feedback and try to get a new curriculum installed. It's important to remember when we do rapid experiments that we are testing our hypothesis and assumptions. So because our assumption about this new curriculum model is that students will be more engaged, we need to prove it by working with the students to get their feedback and opinions. You can also consider questions to test ideas, like what excites you about the idea, what uncertainty do you have and how will you test it, and even what will the results look like to help give you a sense of direction. To recap this module, innovation is everyone's job. Traditional problem solving is not efficient and it can lead to wasted time, effort, and money, while design thinking is human-centric, an iterative approach to solving complex problems. Your students will soon be using design thinking for the three principles of Intuit's Design for Delight process for their Leadership Legacy Project. This will help them creatively leave a lasting influence on their community, which we are very excited to see the results of. And like always, thank you for listening, and please don't hesitate to reach out to Amber and I if you have any questions. Thank you.